This video is not financial advice and does not constitute an individual investment recommendation. Sarah gets promoted. 1 month later she quits. Marcus launches a successful business. He sells it for far below market value a year later. Jennifer reaches a 6-figure income and suddenly can't stop spending, though she saved consistently when she earned $30,000. This isn't bad luck. It isn't weakness. It's a psychological mechanism that returns people to their internal sense of what they deserve. And it runs on autopilot. Impostor syndrome is the belief that your achievements are undeserved, accidental, and that people will eventually discover you're not as competent as they think. First described by psychologists Clance and Imes in 1978. Studies show 70% of people experience it at some point. Among high achievers, the rate is even higher. Maya Angelou wrote that every time a new book came out she thought this would be the one where people finally discover she's a fraud. She had written 11 books by then. Everyone has an internal financial thermostat, a deeply embedded sense of what level of income and wealth they deserve. This isn't a conscious number. It's a feeling. When income exceeds this set point, discomfort activates. The brain begins looking for ways to return to the familiar level. Unconsciously. This shows up as sudden large purchases, turning down lucrative opportunities, creating conflict with important clients or employers right before a big win, or physical symptoms before major career moments. The financial thermostat is calibrated in childhood. The phrases a child hears, "Money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are just lucky, don't get greedy, that's not for people like us." These aren't processed as opinions. They're stored as facts about reality. As an adult, you don't remember where the belief came from that earning over $200,000 feels dangerous or wrong. It just feels that way. And it operates as an autopilot filter on every financial decision you make. 6 specific patterns. 1. Pricing your services below market without being asked. 2. Delaying sending invoices to clients. 3. Refusing to negotiate salary because you're already grateful for the offer. 4. Spending a bonus within 2 weeks of receiving it. 5. Choosing weaker employers or business partners to avoid feeling incompetent by comparison. 6. Getting physically sick before high-stakes presentations or negotiations. Recognize any? Psychologist Brad Klontz studied financial scripts, deep-seated money beliefs, in thousands of people over 15 years. People who believed they were unworthy of money earned on average 80% less than people with identical education and experience. Not because they worked less. Because they systematically made financial decisions that steered them away from income. Identity drives behavior. Behavior drives outcomes. The financial thermostat is the invisible ceiling. Studies tracking people who received large unexpected sums of money, inheritances, lottery wins, legal settlements, found a consistent pattern. Within 3 to 5 years, most returned to approximately the same financial level they started from. Not because they lacked financial literacy. They knew what to do in theory. Their internal thermostat overrode their knowledge when the stakes became real. 3 concrete tools. 1. Write down every money belief you received in childhood. Label each as someone's opinion, not a fact about reality. 2. Proximity. Regular contact with people whose financial thermostat is higher than yours gradually recalibrates yours, not through envy but through normalization of a different level as ordinary. 3. Small safe experiments with higher prices or higher income. One new data point that a higher level doesn't result in catastrophe rewires the brain more than any affirmation. Important, imposter syndrome doesn't disappear as income grows. It scales. At $50,000, terrifying to ask for $100,000. At $500,000, terrifying to move toward $5 million. The mechanism is identical. Only the numbers change. This means that every new financial level requires deliberate identity work. Not once, but at each new threshold. The feeling of being a fraud is a signal that you're at the edge of your thermostat. Not evidence that you should stop. Money is the most precise indicator of your identity. Not because it's inherently important, But because financial decisions activate the deepest beliefs about yourself: am I worthy? Is it safe to have more? What will people think? Can I handle larger amounts? Every financial decision is also a decision about who you believe you are. Changing your finances without changing your identity produces temporary results. The thermostat pulls you back. A concrete exercise that works neurologically. Write a letter to yourself 5 years from now, to the version of you earning 2 to 3 times your current income. Describe what you do, how you feel about money, how you make decisions, what feels normal. This exercise bypasses the thermostat through imagination. The brain begins processing a higher level as familiar, not visualization of success, neuroplasticity in action. Impostor syndrome in finance is not weakness or a character defect. It's a protective mechanism that once served you. In an environment where standing out felt dangerous, financially or socially, the thermostat kept you safe. The environment has changed. The mechanism hasn't updated. Awareness of this doesn't rewire the mechanism instantly, but it makes it visible. And visible patterns can be changed. One deliberate decision at a time. Clance identified 4 core financial scripts: money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance. Money avoiders believe wealth is corrupting. Money worshippers believe more money would solve all problems. Status seekers equate net worth with self-worth. Vigilant savers are anxious about money even when finances are healthy. Each script creates predictable blind spots and destructive patterns. Identifying your dominant script is the diagnostic step that makes the others possible. One of the costliest manifestations of impostor syndrome: underpricing your services. Research on negotiation shows people with low financial self-worth name prices quietly, with apologetic tone, followed by unsolicited justifications no one asked for. This non-verbally signals uncertainty. Clients and employers use it. A high self-worth person states a price as a fact. No apology. No justification. Just the number. The difference in outcome over a career is significant. One underappreciated function of an emergency fund: it weakens imposter syndrome. When you know 3 to 6 months of expenses are covered, the fear of losing your current income source decreases. Less fear means the imposter mechanism activates less. You can afford to negotiate rather than accept. You can turn down clients who undervalue your work. Financial security creates the psychological safety that allows you to operate at your actual capability level. A practical technique. Separate events from interpretations. Fact: a potential client hasn't responded to your proposal in 4 days. Imposter interpretation: they realized I'm not good enough. Realistic explanations: busy, forgot, on vacation, considering carefully. When you catch an imposter interpretation, don't fight it. Label it. That's an imposter interpretation, not a fact. Labeling reduces its power without requiring you to override it with forced positivity. Simple weekly practice that counters imposter syndrome in finance. Record 3 financial actions you did right this week. Any size. Paid on time, right action. Declined an unnecessary purchase, right action. Contributed to your Roth IRA, right action. The imposter brain focuses on failures while filtering out wins. A written list of right actions is specific, factual counter-evidence that operates outside of the imposter's selective attention. An important nuance. Moderate imposter syndrome can be useful. It keeps you checking your work carefully. It protects against complacency. It motivates continued learning. The problem begins when it paralyzes action or causes systematic financial self-sabotage. A small healthy dose of self-questioning is normal and adaptive. Systematic devaluation of real achievements that costs you income and opportunities is the problem worth addressing. Mirror neurons activate both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing it. With prolonged exposure to people operating at a higher financial level, your brain begins processing their level as ordinary, not through motivation or persuasion, but through neural adaptation. This is one reason why your environment matters more than your motivation for changing your financial thermostat. Financial identity changes slowly through accumulated experience of decisions made. Every decision aligned with a higher level is a contribution to a new identity. Every time you name your actual market rate, you slightly increase your belief that you deserve it. This isn't affirmations. It's neuroplasticity through behavior. The thinking changes after the behavior, not before. Act at the higher level first. The belief follows the action. Among entrepreneurs, imposter syndrome is both more common and more expensive. An entrepreneur with imposter syndrome underprices the product, takes a smaller equity stake than their contribution warrants, accepts unfavorable terms in partnerships, and avoids marketing because they don't believe the product is worth attention. Each decision makes internal sense with low financial self-worth. Each decision damages the business. The financial thermostat doesn't change from a single seminar or a single book. It changes through new experience repeated long enough for the brain to update its definition of normal. This typically takes months to years of deliberate work. But every step counts. Every decision aligned with a higher level is a training session for a new identity. Slow. Sustainable. Permanent. Most financial education teaches mechanics, accounts, funds, rates, calculations. But research consistently shows knowing what to do explains only a fraction of whether people actually do it. The deeper driver is emotional beliefs formed before age 7. Mechanics without psychology is half a toolkit. The program runs deeper than the knowledge. The best defense against your own financial psychology is automation. Decisions made once in a calm rational state, automatic 401k contributions, scheduled index fund purchases, automatic bill payments replace potentially dozens of emotionally influenced monthly decisions. One good decision made once protects you from the version of yourself making decisions at 11 p.m. after a stressful day. Financial outcomes are determined less by a few large decisions and more by the accumulation of small daily choices. The daily coffee is not the issue. The pattern of hundreds of small emotionally driven purchases is. The same pattern in reverse: small consistent investments, automatic contributions, redirected impulse purchases compounds into a fundamentally different financial position over 20 years. Small decisions compound. In both directions. 3 books that rewire financial thinking at the psychology level. Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money, specific stories about how emotions and beliefs drive financial outcomes. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, The Foundational Science of How the Brain Makes Decisions Under Uncertainty. Brad Klontz, Mind Over Money, Direct Work on Financial Scripts and Deep Money Beliefs. Read in this order. Financial well-being is not a state you reach and maintain effortlessly. It's a practice. Like physical fitness, not a diet you do once but a way of living you maintain. Psychological patterns return. Markets change. Life circumstances change. Financial psychology is a skill that develops and requires upkeep. Not as heavy labor, as conscious habit that becomes easier with time. The most important thing to understand: your current relationship with money is not fixed. It formed through experience. It can change through new experience. The beliefs you have about what you deserve, what's possible, what money means, these are learned. They can be unlearned and replaced. This is not a quick process. But it is a real one. The brain changes through consistent new experience. That's neuroplasticity in the most practical form. One action to take before this tab closes. Open the Notes app on your phone. Write one money belief from your childhood. Write one financial habit you want to change. Write one specific step you'll take this week. 3 lines. 3 minutes. This is how change begins, not through inspiration but through commitment written down. The psychology of money changes through action, not through watching content about the psychology of money. Your environment shapes your financial behavior more than your willpower does. If you live surrounded by people who spend on status and update their cars every 2 years, you feel the pull. If your phone has retail apps on the home screen, you browse more. If your 401k is opt-in rather than opt-out, you contribute less. Changing your environment, not just your intentions, produces lasting behavioral change with less daily effort. The core insight of financial psychology in 3 sentences. 1. You know what you should do financially, the problem is usually psychological, not informational. 2. Your financial behavior today is shaped by beliefs formed before you were old enough to critically evaluate them. 3. Those beliefs can change through new experience, new environment, and deliberate practice. Everything else in this video is elaboration on these 3 sentences. When changing financial behavior, start with the change that requires the least willpower and gives the clearest feedback. Usually that's automation. Open a Roth IRA. Set it to invest $50 per month automatically. Done. Now every month a small piece of your paycheck builds tax-free. You don't decide, you don't feel it, you don't talk yourself out of it. One automated action, installed once, working permanently. The single mindset shift that changes the most, moving from I don't have enough to I decide how to use what I have. Scarcity thinking is reactive. It waits for more before acting. Intentional thinking acts with what exists now. Even $5 per month invested intentionally, with understanding of why, is a different relationship with money than $500 saved by default without awareness. The amount matters less than the intentionality. Financial tools, accounts, funds, budgets, strategies work when your psychology supports using them consistently. Without that foundation, the best financial plan in the world produces inconsistent results. Start with understanding your financial psychology. Then build the systems. The sequence matters. Psychology first. Tools second. In that order, both compound. Multiple large studies have examined whether education level predicts financial decision quality. The consistent finding, formal education weakly predicts financial behavior. Stronger predictors are financial socialization in childhood, specific financial skill development, and emotional relationship with money. A PhD economist with unresolved money anxiety makes systematically worse financial decisions than a high school graduate with a healthy financial program. Research shows financial outcomes correlate significantly with the financial habits of your 5 closest contacts. If your social circle treats wealth as suspicious and savings as deprivation, your behavior trends toward theirs. Finding 1 or 2 people with healthy financial habits creates an accountability relationship. Not expensive financial advisors. Just people sharing a journey honestly. Shared goals compound like interest. Every powerful financial strategy, compound investing, behavioral change, thermostat recalibration, requires the same resource, time. American culture is biased toward immediate feedback and quick returns. This cultural bias works against the most effective financial behaviors. The investors who build real wealth across decades share one trait more than any other: they are comfortable waiting. Patience isn't passive. It's an active practice in a world of constant stimulation. Here's the sequence that produces lasting financial change. First, understand your financial psychology, beliefs, triggers, thermostat level, emotional relationship with money. Second, build systems that work with your psychology rather than against it, automation, pre-committed rules, environment design. Third, add mechanics, specific accounts, funds, tax strategies. In this order, all 3 layers work together. In any other order, the mechanics don't stick. If this topic connected with you, 2 directions for going deeper. First, Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. Short, story-based, immediately applicable to your own financial decisions. Second, Brad Clontze's research on financial scripts, widely available through his website and published papers. Both give you frameworks for understanding your own financial programming. Start with Housel if you haven't read it. It's the most accessible entry point. The most useful reframe: money is not a measure of your worth as a person. Money is a tool. It does what you direct it to do, or it does what your psychology directs it to do by default. Taking conscious control of that direction requires understanding the psychology first. Your income is the output of current skills, market conditions, and decisions. Your value as a human being is not subject to market fluctuations. These are different categories. Keep them separate. 3 things you can do by Monday. 1. Open your Notes app and write one money belief you want to examine from your childhood. 2. Check if your 401k contributions are automated. If not, set it up today. 3. The next time you feel the urge to make an unplanned purchase, wait 24 hours first. 3 actions. 0 cost. They won't transform your finances overnight, but they start the sequence that will. Every psychological pattern discussed in this video operates on a timescale that your financial decisions also operate on. The thermostat took years to calibrate, it takes years to recalibrate. Compound interest takes decades to show its full power. Behavioral change takes months to become habit. The financial and psychological timelines are aligned. Patience with both the money and the psychology is what produces outcomes that actually change how you live. The core message in one sentence: your financial behavior is driven more by psychology than by knowledge, and psychology changes through deliberate new experience. Every practical step in this video, the journal, the rules, the letter exercise, the audit, is a way to create that new experience. Start with 1. The one that feels most relevant to your situation right now. Financial well-being is not a gift distributed at birth to certain people and denied to others. It's a skill set. A set of beliefs that can be examined. A set of behaviors that can be practiced. A set of systems that can be built. Every person watching this has the capacity to develop a healthier relationship with money. The starting point differs. The destination is achievable from any starting point. Comment below, which of the 6 self-sabotage patterns do you recognize? Underpricing, delayed invoices, refusing to negotiate, or something else? Naming it out loud is already the awareness working. If this video gave you something, hit like, subscribe and ring the bell. See you next time.